All right, guys, so we got to talk about some of the conspiracy theories around the LA wildfire because it is wacky. Okay, people are saying just bizarre things. So here we have the BBC Verify guy. He comes out and says, in the space of 24 hours, Naomi Wolf, not to be confused with Naomi Klein, by the way. I feel horrible for Naomi Klein because her doppelganger is like evil. Naomi Wolf has claimed that the fires in LA are an actual war of foreign invasion, a plot to kill people to destroy evidence of COVID vaccine adverse effects, weather manipulation, a deliberate bombing campaign, and mass spraying of mood stabilizers. I'll go out on a limb here and say maybe it should have been mass spraying of mood stabilizers. Because if we have people like Naomi Wolf saying dumbass shit like this, she could use some of those. In fact, she could use a double dosage. All right, so I'll give you some of the specifics. She says, so Canada and Mexico have sent in military or National Guard? It's an invasion, people. It's a war. Really? You think Canada and Mexico are invading the U.S., and their way of doing that is to help put out wildfires in LA? She also says, fires ramp up adrenaline, per Dr. McCullough. Adrenaline surges cause cardiac arrests we see in the formerly healthy vaccinated, including young people. Is the fire also a narrative getting rid of the evidence of former damage to healthy humans? This is humiliating. How does anybody follow this woman? Look at her numbers. Look at her numbers. Well, these aren't that impressive, but this one kind of is. 2,996 likes. So she says, are your friends in LA not reacting to danger in an expected way? Are they almost in a trance? Multiple confirmations independently that suggest that this is the case, including from a therapist who says her patients are not reacting normally. Could a mood stabilizer of some kind be in what was sprayed? Or do weather manipulation waves entrain human thought patterns in some way? We are there in history and must ask the questions. So look, this woman is she's just like female Alex Jones. This looks like some sort of bomb or attack. It's not wildfire. All right, so we're just getting warmed up here. That's Naomi Wolf. Again, apologies to Naomi Klein, who has to suffer this woman's existence. This one particularly got under my skin. So all these right-wing accounts are out there parroting this idea. Ready? I just heard from my brother, a firefighter in Central Oregon, that the 60 fire trucks the state sent to support the LA fires are being held up in Sacramento for emissions testing. They likely won't pass inspection and won't be able to help. What a joke. So this person said this on January 10th, okay, at 3:26 in the afternoon. Ready for this? This was released before that, the same day at 11:26 a.m., hours before. Here's the Oregon State Fire Marshal. The Oregon strike teams arrived Thursday and are assigned to the Palisades fire. 11 of the teams began their assignments this a.m. The teams are motivated, committed, and excited to get out to the line and help where they are needed. In other words, the information was already out there to debunk the nonsense about, oh, by the way, you know what they're doing there, right? They're trying to feed into the argument, oh, California, bro, they're overregulated, bro. The government's so crazy there, bro. That's the argument they're making. But none of it's true. That's not true. The Oregon firefighters were already on the ground doing their thing. There's just a bullshit lie that was made up to feed catnip to the right, and the right fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And as this person points out here, it's that thing that Elon says and that whatever her name is, the CEO dumbass bitch at the top of Twitter, what she says, you are the media now. Okay, well, maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that's not good. Maybe the right-wing bullshit that spreads like nobody's business, like wildfire, no pun intended, maybe that's a problem. God damn it, I hate these people so much. All right, but I haven't even gotten... So I showed you some of the craziest stuff here. But how about some of the most impactful lies? Well, here is our big, beefy, wet boy himself, the Don. He hit us with just a tsunami of horse shit on this issue. Virtually everything he said on this is completely untrue, and we're going to run through it. Watch this.
Tonight, anger and a search for where to put it. Los Angelinos are fighting through the worst days of their lives, and they're trying to figure out who to point the finger at to explain this gut punch loss that they are wading through right now. President-elect Donald Trump is faulting the governor, Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom had an opportunity to have millions of gallons a week, a day, millions and millions of gallons come down from the north. And I was able to get a federal approval from that, from the Department of Commerce of all departments. I didn't realize it would go through Commerce. I would have thought environmental, but it goes through Commerce. I got all of the approvals, and he said, I don't want to sign it. I don't want the water.
CNN's Daniel Dale is joining us for a fact check of some of this. So, Daniel, can you tell us about what Trump said there? Is it true?
I showed a social media post from the president-elect yesterday to an expert in California water policy, a man named Jeffrey Mount. He said, Abby, none of it is true. So this has just been a staggering quantity of wrongness from the president-elect in a very short period of time.
No. It's not wrongness. It's not wrongness. It's not like, oh, it's an honest mistake. No, he's lying. This is what he does. He lies. If he throws 100 lies at you in one statement, he knows maybe you'll only be able to fight back on like 2 or 3 of them, and he gets away with the other 97 of them, right? Like, this is what he does. This is what he does.
He keeps saying that Governor Newsom refused to sign a so-called water restoration declaration. In fact, no such declaration even exists, as Newsom's office has pointed out. He also said yesterday that they're not using firefighting planes. We've seen those planes. They're there.
Immediately when the fires broke out, the winds were up to 100 miles an hour in some places. Some places it was up to 80, others it was up to 90, others it was up to 100. These were the Santa Ana winds, and they were fierce at the time. You can't fly the planes, you can't fly the helicopters in that weather. You can't do it. Because whatever attempt, it's dangerous, number one. Number two, you're not even going to hit your targets with the fire retardant stuff in the water, right? And so it's a policy to not fly then. So Trump takes that happening when the fires initially broke out, and then it becomes this big, broad statement of like, oh, they're choosing not to do it, right? So disregards the context, disregards the fact that they can't do it, and disregards the fact that they did as soon as they were able to. Of course they did it. Disregards all that just to spread his narrative, just to shit on Gavin Newsom, shit on the Democrats in California, be a total fucking partisan hack. You now have Republican politicians who are saying Trump shouldn't agree to send disaster relief to California unless and until Gavin Newsom steps down and Karen Bass steps down. Rank, disgusting, petty politics at a time where there's a $150 billion disaster going on in this country.
The president-elect has promoted an overarching false narrative, you heard a bit of it there, that the challenges we're seeing in the firefighting effort have something to do with a long-running policy battle about how much water should be kept in the north of the state to protect fish species like the Delta smelts and other environmental ecosystems, and how much should be sent to the south to help agricultural interests, farmers in an area called the Central Valley. Now, 2 water policy experts in California told me emphatically yesterday, none of this has anything to do with each other. There is simply no connection between the protection of that smelt fish in that estuary in the Delta in the north and what we're seeing in the south for a number of reasons. But number one, there is no shortage of water in the Los Angeles area. The reservoirs are at or above historical levels.
That's the other thing, right? Because I saw all the Republicans were saying this when the fires broke out. And then the second I looked into it, it was like, no, they have plenty of water. Like, the water's there. They just say anything to make a political hack attack. Like, guys, I don't want you to take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. When Trump goes on one of these rants, I want you to do your own due diligence and you to check into what he's saying, right? And you will find very quickly, holy shit, it is better to just default assume that every single fucking word that comes out of his mouth is nonsense.
Water is there. Now, we have seen high-profile issues in one part of the city, Pacific Palisades, where some hydrants were dry or did not have a lot of water. But that was not because there was not enough water in the region. That was because of technical, logistical, infrastructure issues related to the hilly, mountainous terrain and the location where water tanks have been situated. So the idea that not enough water has been sent down from the north and instead has been, protecting a little fish there, and that's why we're seeing these fires be hard to contain, simply does not bear out at all.
The other thing he's been going with is talking about the brush removal, right? The forest management, as they say. Guess what? Gavin Newsom has massively increased that brush removal, forest management. It didn't make a difference. It wasn't going to make a difference because you're dealing with Santa Ana winds up to 100 miles an hour and ember can fly over a fucking mile. Things were going to burn down. But they lie. They lie. And the idea is, what they're trying to get across here, oh, it's the fucking Democrats who are controlling California. Blame Karen Bass, blame Gavin Newsom. It's the Democratic leadership, and that's the problem. What kind? Winds up to 100 miles an hour with embers that can fly over a mile. This was Mother Nature at its worst. This was Mother Nature slapping us down to earth and being like, bitch, there is nothing you can do to stop this. That's like saying, hey, why don't you stand on the beach during a Category 5 hurricane and yell at it to turn around, right? That's effectively what we're trying to do in fighting back against these wildfires. We're doing the best we fucking can, but there's only so much you can do when Mother Nature decides it's a wrap. I'm coming after you, right? But they lie because they want to give you the impression, oh, if Republicans just ran California, everything would have been okay. Utter fucking nonsense. Every square mile, every square inch of territory that burned under Democratic leadership, it would have been just as much under Republican leadership. And by the way, we should point out, California leads the country in terms of creating policies to fight back against climate change. So you can even make the argument that if it was run by Republicans, it would have been worse. Okay, because obviously that's at the core of all of this. Worse wildfires, more powerful wildfires, natural disasters that occur more often and are more extreme. At the heart of that is climate change. And at least California's trying to do something about it. But guess what? This isn't a state-by-state issue. This isn't one that you could just, hey, if Idaho pulls it together, we'll be better off. No, it's about the global community here.
You know, Trump is talking about President Biden not leaving him any money with FEMA to deal with these wildfires. What are the facts around that?
It's just not true. We heard this from Trump after Hurricane Helene in the fall. It wasn't true then, and it's not true now. Now, it is true that FEMA's disaster relief fund was severely depleted by the number of disasters last year, but critically, Abby, it was replenished by the disaster relief supplemental bill that President Biden signed in December. I spoke to FEMA yesterday. They told me that there is approximately $27 billion today in that disaster relief fund, plus billions of dollars of additional disaster-related funding they have in other pockets of money. Now, it is true that that $27 billion might well not be enough to cover the needs produced by every disaster we unfortunately end up seeing over the rest of 2025, but $27 billion is simply not no money, which is what Trump said yesterday.
4 years, y'all. We got 4 years of this. 4 years. And you know what's crazy? The complete and utter capitulation or semi-capitulation that I'm seeing among basically everybody. Republican politicians obviously bent the knee. They've genuflected to their overlord God King. But Democratic politicians are looking for points of agreement and, hey, let's go along to get along and doing that. And the media is doing both sides false equivalence bullshit for the most part. And so 4 years of a president during a crisis, during a scandal, during a disaster, immediately going into partisan hack mode, immediately targeting his enemies, lying relentlessly and repeatedly, making the situation worse, not providing any leadership, not providing any stability. 4 years of this we have to deal with. 4 years. Hope everybody's happy. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.